Hey there friends, this is P with BananaHobby.com. Welcome to your instructional video on the basics of how to maintain, charge, and take care of your LiPo batteries. In this episode here, what we will do here is I'm going to break down the basics of a lithium polymer, otherwise known as LiPo battery, and how to charge them, how to discharge them, and how to maintain and take care of them. And then finally, how to dispose of them properly if in need that you need to throw them away at one time. And in this video, what we will do is we will use our very popular charger that we carry here at Banana Hobby called the Blitz RC Works G4 charger. And we will give you basically a review of how to use the charger and the functions that the G4 chargers come in and utilize with charging LiPo batteries and other packs as well. But before we go into that, we want to talk about a couple of things, and we will go right into the meat portion of this review here and of this instructional video. First of all, we're going to talk about LiPo batteries a little bit here. What I have in my hand here is a Genesis Power lithium polymer battery, otherwise known as LiPos. We've been hearing these words all over the place. You hear LiPo here, LiPo there. Is it LiPo powered? All that kind of stuff. Basically, I want to talk a little bit about the battery here and what the battery does without getting too intricate, because once you start breaking down the intricate details of lithium polymer batteries, it gets extremely complicated, and the charging stuff, it just gets way too complicated. We're going to keep this nice and simple so that for all of you out there that are just entering the hobby or are looking to enter the hobby, you have an understanding about lithium polymer batteries. Basically, what a LiPo battery is, there's a couple of kinds out there. This is called the LiPo. There's ones that are called lithium ion, or L-I-I-O-N, lithium ion batteries. They're very, very similar in character, but these are called LiPos. And basically how I could best describe LiPos are, these are the same type or the similar type of batteries that are used in your laptops and your iPods, your iPhones, and your iPads, and your smartphones. And if you've taken notice to your personal electronics here, when your laptop starts to run low on battery, it prompts you and it tells you, please plug in the power. You have 7% battery power left, or so on and so forth. Your smartphone's going to blink at you, your iPad's going to blink at you, and then if you ignore it and you don't plug in the power, what happens next? Basically, it shuts off all the power to your unit and it blacks out, and you cannot do anything to turn it back on unless you plug it back into the wall. And the reason why is this. The lithium polymer LiPo battery packs cannot be drained down past a certain percentage. Once you drain them down past a certain percentage, you basically lose the lifespan frame off of these battery packs. They will charge back up, but their performance will never be the same again. You won't be able to get the same type of longevity out of it. You won't be able to get the same type of power output or the same type of runtime, basically, out of the same battery pack. If we're talking along the lines of lithium polymer batteries here. Cell phones and your computers, they're going to shut itself off. So there's nothing you can do here. With LiPos in an RC model aircraft or an RC model car or something like that, you have to monitor them yourself. And we're going to go ahead and talk about how to do that and how to efficiently do that without making this too complicated. In my hand, this is a 4,500 milliamp rating 65C 11.1 volt 3-cell LiPo battery pack that we carry here at Banana Hobby. This is called the Genesis Power battery, lithium polymer battery. These are extremely powerful 65C discharge and are very, very popular and are great battery packs. Basically, what the 4,500 mAh stands for, that's your milliamp rating. That's the capacity of the battery, how much it can take in as far as milliamp hours, and then how much it can discharge in that 45 category. That's how much capacity you have. The 65C rating, the C rating basically means how much the pack can discharge up to a certain level when the power is demanded, when you hit that throttle stick and that demand is there on, on instantaneous power there, and how much you're able to charge it at the rating back into the pack. Without not getting too complicated there, basically, what we hear out there along the lines of this is the higher the C rating, the better. In a lot of sense there, it does make complete sense, and it does ring true to just about all the applications that we're talking about. If you're flying EDF jets, if you're flying warbirds, by all means, 65C would be great because it gives you a really even keeled discharge rating and a really evenly distributed power band. So if you're at 90% power on your EDF jet, you will retain that 95% power band without dropping off, without losing that power towards your, the later part of your 2-minute flights or anything like that. So 65Cs are always great. We carry these Genesis power packs at Banana Hobby from 25C to 40C to 55C to 65C to 70C as well. So that's kind of up to your personal preference. If you're flying small park flyers, there's no need to go to 65Cs. You can use 25Cs just fine. 40Cs are just fine as well. Your LiPo battery pack, when it says that this is an 11.1 volt battery pack, it basically means that it's sitting at 3.7 volts per cell. That's sitting voltage. When a LiPo battery, when it's 11.1 volts, fully charged, when it's a 3-cell pack, will sit at 12.6 volts. And it will never be higher than 12.6. Occasionally, the meter might be a little bit off on the charger or your voltmeter or something, and it may be 12.605, 12.61. It's not a huge big deal, but normally it's going to sit at probably about 12.59 volts per full charge pack for an 11.1 volt 3-cell pack. And basically that means that each individual cell in here at 3 cells, each cell will sit at 4.2 volts per cell. And when you discharge these packs, my personal preference, because of hearing from the feedback from you all out there and the questions you're asking me about what I like to do, my personal preference is I always time my flights. I do not like to drain these battery packs down below 3.5 to 3.4 volts per cell. I like to keep my batteries fresher, longevity out. I want to get longevity out of them, and I want to keep their performance up. The general rule of thumb is you can drain them down to as low as 3.1 volts per cell. To me, that's just too low. You're putting the battery through such a wide variance of charging and discharging that you lose your longevity out of it, and then in so many flights you may lose power and stuff like that. It's very slim with 65C discharge packs right now, but in the 40C and under packs, I would suggest that you really do not discharge it to there. Even with the 65Cs, I still stay about 3.4 volts to 3.5 volts per cell after a flight. Normally, I check it right after the flight, and I'm probably at about 3.7, 3.75 to 3.8 volts per cell. And what you want to do is you want to pick up a voltmeter and then get the readings for these packs every time you use them after a 3-minute flight, after a 6-minute flight, after an 8-minute flight, so you know where you're sitting, and then so you know how to set your timer accordingly, so you do not drain these down all the way. And with that, this is an 11.1 volt pack. Your 4-cell will be 14.8 volts, and your 5-cell will be 18.5, and then your 6S will be 22.2, and these are all sitting voltage. Fully charged voltage, of course, will be different. So we will put this battery down aside for now. When we go into actual charging process of LiPos, we'll talk a little bit more there. One thing I want to talk about right now that's very important is the portion about safety. And when I'm talking about safety is lithium LiPo batteries are not, they're a different nature than your NiCads or your nickel metal hydrides that we've grown accustomed to. And LiPos may potentially catch fire. Without scaring everybody out there, I just wanted to bring something up to your attention here that I personally use on a regular basis, and a lot of my professional pilot friends and sponsored pilots all use this on a personal basis. What this here is basically a Blitz RC Works LiPo guard. It's a LiPo bag. And what this does is it's a fireproof bag, and you basically put your LiPo battery in here to charge during the charge process, and you can use it as a storage bag as well. When a LiPo battery catches fire, it is extremely hard to put out just because it's not just a regular fire. It's actually a chemically induced fire. So it's always safer to charge it inside of a bag. And with these Blitz RC Works LiPo bags, if you ever see me at a flying event or at a show, I'll have 10 or 15 of these running around with me all over the place with batteries sitting in them already, or I'll be charging them in these. At any given event, if we are flying, it is mandatory that we charge with these bags. So we always put the batteries in here when we're charging them. And I will run through what I mean by the batteries actually being in here when we charge them. We have these bags that you can add to your order Anytime you order anything with a lithium polymer battery or with a battery in it for that fact, from our website, any airplanes, any jets, you have the option of adding this to your order for, I think it's less than $15. And on the market, these probably sell for about $35 to $40 each. And it never hurts. It's reassurance for when you're charging. It's a secondary protocol so that if something does happen, it happens inside of this bag. And to me, that peace of mind is worth, you know, the $13 or $15 that we charge for one of these Lipo charging bags. They are extremely popular. Make sure when you're charging, you do so in this bag. And with that, we will move on to also the charging cycle. When you're charging a lithium polymer, when you're charging a Lipo battery, you do not want to charge these unattended. You know, you can go ahead and plug it into your charger there and then go have, you know, dinner in the other room or something like that, or be watching TV, and so you can audibly hear the charger when it tells you it's done. And, you know, from time to time, you come back and check the battery pack, make sure it's not warm to the touch or anything. Lipo batteries, when you're charging them during the charge cycle, they will never become warm to the touch. They will always be cool or room temperature when you're charging them. After you fly them in a jet or you fly them in an airplane, they will be warm to the touch. Sometimes they may be downright hot to the touch. And that will be normal. That's depending on how much you're discharging and you're demanding from the pack. But during the charge cycle, it will never be warm. If it becomes warm during this charge cycle, after the battery has cooled down to room temperature from a flight, and then you put it back on the charger, if it becomes warm during that charge cycle, unplug it right away and contact us or contact the battery manufacturer or your charger manufacturer, and you know, and find out where to go from there for a replacement or whatever the case might be. But if it starts to feel warm during the charge cycle, make sure you unplug it right away. So let's go ahead and put the battery aside here. And the next step we're going to do here is we're going to talk a little bit about charge cycle, about the charge C ratings and things like that, and we will bring the camera in for a little tighter view here so I can run through the charge cycle. What we will do now is talk a little bit about how to charge a lithium polymer battery pack. Before we go ahead and move on to that, what we were talking about earlier with the C rating here, basically what it means by the C rating is also you could charge these battery packs to a 1C rating, a 2C rating, or a 3C rating, which means 1C on a 4500 milliamp. So this is a 4500 mAh pack. If you charge it at 1C, it will be at 4.5 amps, period. If you decide to charge it at 2C, which is a faster charge rate, you'd be charging at 9 amps. And I never, ever do that. I just don't see the need to be charging so quickly that I need to be putting 9 amps back into the battery at the same time. You know, I would rather have a few batteries with me than to diminish my life cycle of a beautiful battery pack by charging them at more than 1C. So I always suggest that you charge them at 1C. Just basically charge them at what their suggested ratings are, and you'll be fine. Also, I also do a break-in process with this. If this is a brand new fresh pack, I always run about, you know, if this is a 4500 mAh, I'll start the charge cycle at 2 amps. I'll plug it into the charger, start it at 2 amps, and I'll run the charger on a cycle basis, and it will charge and discharge the battery pack. It'll charge it at 2 amps, and I'll discharge it at 1 amp. And then once it reaches the parameters, it'll charge it back up and then discharge it. That way, the battery pack actually has a chance to learn discharging and then learn charging, and then learn the discharge cycle as well. So it prepares it basically, you know, like I guess you can call it, it breaks it in before you actually go ahead and charge it at 4.5 amps and then throw it in the airplane. If you have a ton of money out there and you choose to buy these and then charge them at 2C or charge them at 1C right away and then throw them in the airplane, and then when it comes off of the airplane, throw them right back on the charger, that is up to you. It won't hurt the battery much, but you know, like I said, this is all my personal preference and for the longevity and for bang for the buck, you know. We always want to keep our stuff nice and fresh and keep it around. So that's how I like to break in a battery. And I always like to charge at 1C, meaning 4500 mAh, I'm going to charge this at 4.5 amps, or I may charge it at less. I may just charge it at 4 amps. And I'll show you what we're talking about once we plug into the charger here. Basically, this beautiful Blitz RC Works G4 charger, this, the best way I can describe this in my one-man show here while I get my controller here and hit the wrong button while I was trying to hit the zoom here, you can see that this is a beautiful, beautiful LCD display charger. And it is a fully programmable 4-channel charger. And what I mean by 4 channels is this charger basically will charge 4 batteries at the same time now. Instead of carrying around 4 chargers, you carry on one charger capable of charging 4 battery packs at the same time. This is a 200-watt charger, so it is 50 watts times 4 channels here. So if you're charging up to a 6-cell pack, the highest you would be able to charge a 6-cell pack would be about 2.2 amps per channel. So that's that's something to keep in mind there. And this is also your 12-volt charger. So you will need to have a 12-volt battery supply or use the supplied alligator clips, which are these right here. And you would just connect these to the opposite ends of the charger. So I'll go ahead and disconnect it real quick so I can show you what I'm talking about here. Okay. This is the plug-in that is included with this G4 charger. This will be plugged into a 12-volt power supply. And if you don't have a 12-volt power supply, you would just plug these into these clips and then clip these clips right here. Grab this one too. And these clips you would clip onto your battery terminal of your vehicle battery or your motorcycle battery or any kind of a 12-volt battery. 12-volt gel cell battery, deep cycle batteries are great. So that's one way of doing it. But most people, if you're purchasing a charger like this, you have what's called a 12-volt power supply. And a 12-volt power supply basically is just something like a computer power supply. This is basically that, but it's been converted towards RC use. So we can use it for, charging battery purposes. Okay, so now that we have that plugged in, the G4 charger will include all your accessories, including different balancing ports for different types of batteries. We have them here for PolyQuest, for Thunder Power, to Flight Power batteries, to PolyQuest, like I said, and just different variations and balance plugs. And also what's included is your Tamiya style adapter, okay? Your nice starter for nitro-powered airplanes and nitro fuel-powered cars for the nice starter. The RX charger adapter for if you're running an external receiver battery. Just all-around alligator clips just in case you need to charge anything different that you don't have a plug for. And the very popular, this is the red JST connector. This connector comes on a lot of the smaller batteries, like this little 7.4-volt pack. And it's just an adapter for the T-plug style that comes in the kit here, in the box of this G4. The G4 charger will include 4 ready, pre-soldered wire leads to an ultra T-plug style, a T-plug basically, for basically all the Genesis powers that we carry. We use the same plug on there, and it's pretty much plug and play ready to go here. So it includes 4 of these, so you can charge 4 batteries at the same time. This has become one of my favorite chargers, and I take this charger with me everywhere. It is extremely powerful, very, very easy to use, and just an all-around amazing charger. So with that, let's go ahead and talk about what I mean by balancing. Here we have let me grab the 4-cell. It's probably a little bit easier. Here we have a 4-cell Genesis Power 2500 65C. Okay, this is your T-style charge plug. Your negative and positive, your power is going to be coming from here. This white plug here is called a balancing port or balancing plug. Now what this balancing plug does is if you choose to select LiPo charge basically from the charger here, you will be charging from the T-style plug. You will plug these 2 in and then you will leave it alone and it's charging. But we maximize the longevity and the efficiency of charging these batteries by what we do is called balance charging. And when we balance charge, we plug this white plug into this adapter that's included here. Okay, you want to of course find the correct adapter for the correct balancing plug here, and then you plug the adapter here right into this port right down here. See how that's open right there? You plug that in right there, and then you plug your balancing plug into this port here, and you'll take note. You'll notice here. In here. This is labeled 2S, 3S, 4S, 5S, and 6S. So you find the one, this is a 4-cell, so we plug in the 4S to the 4S port here. Okay. And then we plug in the T plug to the T plug on the battery. And it's going to spark a little bit. They always do. Which is normal, especially if you're plugging in a 6 cell battery pack, it definitely will spark. So now you're connected with the balancing plug here, the white plug, and then the red and black T plug here, black wire T plug here. And when it's balance charging, basically what it's doing is this charger is a computerized unit where it is constantly monitoring cell by cell of what the cell voltage is in this particular battery pack. So you can actually push a button here and see what the individual cell voltages are. And it's trying to keep the cells within balance, very, very close to each other. And it's a balanced charger. So once it gets to, it's also a peak charger. Once it gets to the peak voltage of the maximum voltage of what the battery capacity is can take in, it will shut the charge cycle off. It is always, always safer to charge it in balance mode. I always charge every battery that I have, battery pack that I have with the balance plug on it, always balance charge them. It is the best way. So once we are there, as you can see here, the charger reads Lipo charge. Let me see if I can zoom that in some more here. Okay. You can see that you can read that the Lipo actually says Lipo charge. And that is a little bit it's like deceiving there because you're thinking, okay, it's Lipo charge, it's ready to go. But remember, we have it balance charging, so we have to select Lipo balance charge. If it doesn't say that, your programming menu because this charger you can charge nickel metal hydride, NIMH, you can charge NiCad, you can charge 12-volt battery cells, you can charge just a variety of different things, and there's programming parameters, and it has like a thermometer on there that you can keep track of temperature and all that stuff. So you do have to scroll through it if it doesn't say it. If it doesn't say it, let's just hit the increase button. And actually, we go to battery type and hit battery type, and it'll scroll through. And you can see it says NiCad. Before that, it said NIMH. Now it says PB battery. Save data, load data, user program mode. But we're going to stick with Lipo battery. Once we see Lipo battery, we want to get into the balance charge mode. So we will hit charge one or hit start one time, and it will say Lipo charge. And then we hit increase, and the next one that shows us is Lipo balance. That's the one we're going to choose. But if you hit it again, it will say Lipo fast charge. That's the function that I very rarely use, but you can read about it in the manual. It'll say what that is for. So that is personal preference. If you hit it again, there's Lipo storage, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then if you hit it one more time, it says Lipo discharge. Okay, those are all programming parameters that I use. But right now we will go into Lipo balance. And if it doesn't read 2.5 volt, 14.8, because that battery pack is 2500, we will hit start one time, and you will hit you see 2.45 there, start flashing, and you can raise it and lower it. Right now it's at 2.0, it's 2.1, 2.2. So I might just charge it at 2.2, and then hit the start one more time, and then make sure that this reads not 2S, not 3S, but 4S 14.8 for this particular lithium polymer battery pack. Once it says that, hit start one more time, and it's pretty much ready to go. And when you are there, what we will do is pretty much you're set to charge here. Once that is confirmed, you want to make sure that that is your charging amp rating, that is your voltage, the 14.8s for this battery pack, which is 14.8, and you can charge this at 2.5 if you choose to, but right now we chose 2.2, which is just fine too. And then what we'll do is we will hit start, keep your finger on it, it will beep, it'll say battery check, wait, and then it'll tell you confirm please, and then you can see that it actually is 4S, and then once it reads that, hit start one more time and let go. And then immediately the charge cycle begins. It'll tell you how long it's charging for, how many mAh it's actually putting in, what the current charge amp rating is, and what the current voltage is. And this battery pack is pretty close to fully charged already, so if we hit this button, increase one time, it will actually give you the individual voltage readings of each cell. Like I was telling you, Lipos will not get beyond 4.2 volts per cell at fully charged. So as you can see here, it's at 4.19, 4.19, 4.19, 4.19, and this one's fluctuating to 4.20. This is just about fully charged. So right now, all it's doing, it's balancing the packs. Once it gets to balance, it'll beep, and it tells you that this battery pack is fully charged. And we'll go ahead and wait for that beep while we talk about other stuff here. So let's go ahead and talk about the safety bag. This is what's going on now, okay? Once you have this ready to go on charging, we have your Lipo safety bag. this is what I do. This is what you're supposed to do. You open up the bag, and you throw your whole charging battery, your plugs and wires here, the balancing port, make sure it's plugged in tight, and you throw this whole thing into this bag. Okay, all you leave exposed are the wire here and the balancing plug wire, and then you just go ahead and close this up. And that's it. That right there is your completely safe, self-contained charging station right here. In the event that something does happen with the LiPo battery is in this fireproof, fire-safe LiPo guard bag here. And you just let it fully charge. Once it's done, you go ahead and take it out of the bag. You can actually put all 4 batteries in here at the same time if you're charging 4 batteries at the same time. I always have a few of these bags laying around. It's just, you know, they're great to have around. And if you are charging multiple batteries, you can have it on different bags, or you can actually just shove them all in the same bag. I like to have different bags. Maybe 1 bag per 2 is what I would probably do. So right now, this is in the charging mode and there's a charging cycle here. So we're going to go ahead and leave that. This is something that you can just basically go and you can pick up from your local hardware store or your local Radio Shack or your local auto parts store. All it is a voltmeter. And you can actually, it's something really handy to have around where you can actually get a voltage reading from your battery packs. You know, like here's your 11.1 volt, and it should be pretty close to fully charged. So we put the negative and negative, and then the positive and positive, and be careful not to touch the 2 prongs together there. And it tells us that this battery is at 12.47. So it is really close to fully charged. So it's always good to have a voltmeter on hand, and you can actually get a reading of what the battery packs are actually sitting at. And you can also, you know, opt to buy a voltage meter. A lot of the companies sell it, and we will be carrying it at Atlanta Hobby pretty soon here as well. So voltmeters are always good to have around. And with that, I think we will back the camera out and talk a little bit about Lipo Safety once again and how to properly dispose of Lipo batteries. Well, I guess we didn't even go there yet, and you can tell that is the beep telling you that the battery, which is perfect timing, I guess, the battery is fully charged. This 4-cell pack is sitting at 16.8 volts. It is balanced. It took 4 minutes and 32 seconds to get there, and it put in, it charged in 25 mAh, which means the battery was basically fully charged already when we put it on there. I had just charged it a few hours ago, and LiPos really don't lose its power over time. So anyway, let's go ahead and back the camera out, and we'll talk a little bit more here. Welcome back, friends. Right now, I'd like to talk a little bit about Lipo maintenance and just some questions that were asked towards me about how I take care of my lithium polymer batteries. When I was moving the camera out, the charge cycle for this 4-cell pack is actually complete. So let's go ahead and get the battery out of the Lipo Safety guard bag here. And we're going to go ahead and set this aside. And this battery is pretty much ready to come off the plug. So let's go ahead and unplug it. And the charger's ready for another 4 batteries, you know, whatever you want to put on here. Again, this is 4 chargers in 1 unit, and that's what the Blitz RC G-4 Multicharger is. It's instead of carrying around 4 chargers, you have 1 self-contained, really beautiful unit that's very, very powerful in everything that it can provide for your charging needs there. I was asked how to store Lipo batteries, and the best way I can tell you how to store Lipo batteries is you have to have a voltmeter. You have to make sure that you discharge the pack to about 3.7 volts or 3.5 volts per cell, and then set the G4 charger here in Lipo storage mode. And what it will do is it will raise the voltage between 3.7 to 3.8 volts per cell, and then right there you can actually pull them off the charger and then store them. Optimally, you want to have them between 3.6 and 3.8 volts per cell. I like it around 3.7 volts per cell, and then you can actually set them and put them aside. You can store them for 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, but you want to make sure that they're just about at 50% of the capacity of the full capacity of the battery pack when you're storing them. Do not store these at fully charged because it's just not good for it. Sometimes you lose some power from it, and they don't lose too much power throughout time, but if you store it for like 5 months or 6 months at full charge status, it's going to harm the battery. So just don't do something like that. If you can't get out there to fly because of weather conditions or something, stick it on the charger and let the G4 charger discharge it to a set parameter. You can go ahead and set it that you want it to discharge to 3.7 volts per cell, and it will stop there. And once it gets there, it'll beep, and then you can store your batteries. So that is always something that I always do, and I urge you to do if you are going to store your lithium polymer batteries. Now let's go ahead and talk about how to dispose of the LiPo batteries correctly. There's a lot of stuff going on the web and a lot of myths about how to throw these things away properly. And without going into too much detail about what the proper one is to do, and without scaring anybody here, the way that I personally do this is when I have a LiPo battery that has been, it's bad, that has become puffy. And what I mean by become puffy is sometimes the battery packs will be over discharged. If it's a lower C rating and you're trying to draw more C than the battery pack can offer, or you over drain them all the way, like a 25C battery pack, the covering becomes a little bit puffy, so it kind of feels like there's an air bubble in it. When it becomes like that, I tend to always put the batteries aside and recycle them. They're not very safe to use anymore, so I suggest that when they get to that level, if they're not super ballooned up, definitely do not use, if they are super ballooned up, definitely do not use them anymore. And what you would like to do, what I do is I find my personal flying club at my local flying club, and what they do is they have a bucket there that you can put these batteries in, and they will properly recycle the batteries for you. By all means, do not throw these things in the trash can just like this. If this thing puffs and then you don't want to use it anymore, and then you go and you throw it in the trash can, it's just not safe, because it has to go from your hands to the disposal carrier's hands, and it potentially could be dangerous, and we don't want to do that. We want to make sure these are recycled properly. So what else you can do is look up how to recycle batteries in your area. There will be rules and guidelines, and they'll tell you how to recycle batteries properly. I know it sounds like a little bit of a hassle, but to ensure the future of our hobby and to keep our planet nice and green and safe and make this hobby available for our next generations and generations to come so they can enjoy the blessings that we have flying this beautiful RC hobby, I suggest that we all follow these steps to make sure that we have this hobby around to enjoy for years to come. So make sure you contact your local, another thing was your local electronic waste collect management. Even those places will take these batteries as well. But just look it up in your general area and see how you can dispose of LiPo's battery. By all means, don't throw them in the trash can. If they do become puffed on you, leave them in the garage floor, leave them, in your LiPo bag and set them aside for a little while, and and then find out how to go ahead and dispose of them. There's another method out there, which is using a bucket of salt water, a bucket of fresh water, basically mixed with cups of salt, so it becomes a very, very potent salt water mix. And then you're supposed to throw these batteries in there once you discharge them already. You throw them in there for about 2 weeks, and then you can dispose of them. That's something that I don't suggest you and anybody out there just going to run out there and do unless you know what you're doing. But I suggest you Google it and check online and see how people are disposing of these properly. If you have an issue, you can always contact us, and we will run you through the disposal of these LiPo batteries. These, if you take care of them, they provide just a ton of cycles. I love these battery packs. These battery packs have very, very much defined what this RC hobby is today and what we're able to do today in bringing these jets and airplanes down to the level that they are now. This was never thought of before. These jets used to be for people that flew kerosene, turbine engines. These airplanes were made for people that flew gas engines and nitromethane powered engines. And now we have these battery packs that are like this with airplanes flying over 100 miles an hour. It's just something absolutely amazing to me, and I enjoy this hobby with you and where we have gone with this together as a team here. And with that, I think that pretty much covers everything about the charging cycle and the safety measures of a lithium polymer battery and this beautiful 4-channel, basically 4 chargers in one, the Blitz RC Works G-4 charger. And to reiterate, these are our LiPo bags. I have a whole bunch of them. This is something that you can readily add to your order. Right on the order page, go ahead and just click add. I urge you to do that. It's that peace of mind, and the safety is unmeasured in what could possibly happen. We don't want it to happen, but when you have it sitting in here, it's a lot safer than not having it sitting in here. So these Lipo safety bags are a definite must for me and for you as well, and I hope that you would see that as well. With that, I think we pretty much have talked about everything we need to with LiPo batteries and this charger and basically how to maintain your batteries. If you have any questions, I interact with y'all all the time on Facebook and on Twitter. Be sure to jump on there, ask me a question. I try to answer them personally as best as I can and as fast as I can. Me being one guy here, I do what I can to answer you, but I assure you that if you do ask me a question, I will do my best to answer it. Make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe on YouTube as well. And we will definitely see you next time at the field.